Mic check. If anyone's in here, would you put a one in the chat, please, if you can hear me? So while I'm waiting for people to join, I guess I'll do a little housekeeping. First, I want to apologize for the Madeline Soto video that I posted. I lost so many subscribers. I didn't realize the comments were turned off. Let me tell you how that whole video happened. I was watching something about the Madeline Soto case, and they said something in the video about Stephen Stearns telling his parents that he went for a walk and he came back and she was cold. Madeline was cold. Well, I looked and looked and looked. I couldn't find it. And then I couldn't find the video that I watched where they said that. So I went on Web Sleuths, and Web Sleuths, they're good at what they do. So I asked for help to find the video. And the person led someone on there led me to a video on TikTok and it was a black lady that was talking about it, but she didn't give any sources. She didn't say where she heard it. She didn't share the video link, like from where she got it from, or whatever. So it was a dead end. And I posted the video. I shared the TikTok video, not realizing that that's not where it originally came from, and not realizing that the comments had been turned off by YouTube. And when I started losing all those subscribers, I was like, it's got to be that video. So I took it down. After I took the video down, then I was able to find the Grizzly True Crime video where that little bit of information came from. And it was like her interview with the parents. At that time, I had never watched the interview that she did with his parents, Stephen Stearns' parents. So that's how that came about. And I apologize for that. I just really thought that I had a good source when the person gave me the info. I guess I should have done a little more checking around, but I had never seen the Grizzly True Crime video, so it never would have crossed my mind to look on her channel, because I know I had never really watched anything on her channel where that was said, or I would have picked up on it a lot sooner, because that would have been a big thing at the time. Like, why isn't anybody talking about this? So that's what happened with that. Other than that, I've been doing good. I've had a lot of medical stuff done over the last year, which is part of the reason that I wasn't on here. The Madeline Soto case is the number one reason why I wasn't on here, because it really took me to a bad place. It brought up some memories, some flashbacks, and I was not in a good place after that, and I didn't even know if I wanted to come back to YouTube after her case, because it was like, wow. Um, Suffice it to say that I was in a very similar predicament as Madeline was um, at a younger age. And yeah, that just wasn't a good feeling. So anyway, I'm back for good. I'm in it for the long haul. We're gonna do some wonderful things with the channel now that I'm fully committed to being back on here. Um, so like I said, I've been waiting for a good time to come back to YouTube, and now is as good a time as any. I didn't want to come in on the tail end of an old case, and I also didn't want to jump in the middle of a current case like the Nancy Guthrie case. I've been following that really closely, but by the time I decided this is something that I might want to cover, it was so far into it and it had gotten so messy till I just said no, not this case. But do know that I have been following that case closely, and if that's something you guys want me to talk about, then I will be more than happy to do a video about the Nancy Guthrie case. Um, but the case that fell in our laps, Letitia Stout, conviction overturned. We're going to talk about that later in the video. We're going to talk about Naziah Harris and all the twists and turns that have happened in her case since I've been gone. Um, They're very recent, with Jarvis Butts' conviction and sentencing and his unaliving himself. I know that the Naziah Harris case is not a case that a lot of people covered in depth. Tootie Uncensored covered it blow by blow. And if you want all the info on the Naziah Harris case, exclusive interviews that she got, go over to Tootie Uncensored. Make sure you tell her I sent you, and check out her videos on Naziah Harris, because she did really in-depth cover to cover coverage on that case. So for everyone who is not up to speed on Naziah Harris, I have a video that we're going to watch from Black Girl Unlost, I'm sorry. Black Girl Gone, a true crime podcast. She does a lot of good cases, really good information. One of my favorite YouTubers. So if you get a chance, go over to her channel, Black Girl Gone, a true crime podcast, and check out some of her stuff. I think you'll find it very good and very interesting, and I think you'll end up being a subscriber as well, because I love her channel. So let me get this up here. Okay. Now let me double check and make sure you guys are seeing what I'm seeing here. It's been a while since I've been on, so bear with me. All right, I'll just share the entire screen because it's not really doing what I want it to do. There we go. So we're gonna watch this video real quick, and then we're gonna talk about it. Can you guys hear this? Can you guys hear the video? Put a one in the chat if you can, or two if you can't. All right, I got three people in the chat. Welcome to the show. If you can hear the video that's playing, put a one in the chat. If you can't, put a two. If you guys can't hear the video, then I'll just tell you about it, about the Naziah Harris case, because I'm not hearing it on my end. Okay, I don't think the sound is coming through for the video, so I'll just tell you about Naziah Harris's case. Naziah Harris was a 13-year-old girl who came up missing. Turn this down. She came up missing about a month before Madeline Soto last year in December. Not last year, the year before last in January. Long story short, she had been being essayed by her aunt's kid's dad, um, a man named Jarvis Butts. I think the aunt's name was Shannon. Um, so Shannon was her aunt. Jarvis was Shannon's kid's father, and he had been essaying Naziah for at least 2 or 3 years. She ended up being pregnant, um, and there was a back and forth with him and her about um, getting rid of the baby, if you understand what I'm saying. And he had been researching ways to do that at home, like a home remedy for it. And on January 9th of 2024, Naziah had been texting him about a pregnancy test, needing a pregnancy test, having stomach pains. She got off the bus and she never made it home. She got off the school bus and never made it home. She was seen around town with him in a couple of places by a few people, and that's the last anyone saw her alive. She was reported missing. No one could find her. Eventually, they found like her clothes and a shoe somewhere near a river, I believe it was, and um, her body to this day has never been found. Jarvis Butts. Fast forward to a couple of months ago. Jarvis Butts, well, about a month ago, Jarvis Butts pleaded guilty to not only essaying Naziah, but 4 other victims, one of which being his own child, his own daughter. And he was sentenced to 35 to 60 years in prison. And a part of that plea bargain that he took was he was supposed to tell the prosecutors the location of Naziah's body. I don't believe he ever did that. Uh, there was some talk about him telling them that he had thrown her in a river, but I don't believe that he told the truth if he did say that. Um, about 2 weeks after he was sentenced, he was at the reception center for men uh, in Michigan's Department of Correction system, and he took himself off the planet. They have not released a cause of death yet, but the manner has been rumored to be self-elimination. That really kind of pisses me off because I'm not even going to say that's the coward's way out, which it is, but I'm not going to say that. I'm going to say it's so unfair to the people who actually loved Naziah that he would take himself out without even having the decency to disclose the location of her body so that she can be laid to rest properly. You know, um, nothing about this was fair to anyone, especially not to Naziah. For him to take advantage of her the way that he took advantage of her and to take her out, and God only knows where she is. Maybe he did throw her in the river, you know, but I don't think so because had he done that, chances are her body would have surfaced somewhere downriver. You know, bodies don't just sink and stay sunk. When the decomposition gases start to expand, the body is going to float up. 9 times out of 10, the body would have gotten caught in a current, in a little eddy on the side of the river. So I don't think he threw her in the river. I really don't. I think he buried her somewhere. And the sentencing, his sentencing, the victim's impact statements, his sister gave a statement that was so powerful and so impactful and so raw. She said that she didn't even plan on being there that day. She didn't know if she would or wouldn't. So it was kind of a last minute decision for her to even come up and speak. So unlike everyone else who gave a victim impact statement, she didn't have anything written down. Some of the uh, things that stood out to me about her statement, like I said, it was really raw emotion. And she said, I'm not going to say I don't love my brother because I do. He's my brother. I still love him. And she told him to look at her, which he didn't. And she said, to him, she said, you have to do the right thing, telling him that he needed to tell them where Naziah was. I'll post a link to that video um, in the comments. And the reason that her statement stood out to me more than anyone else is because the grandmother, the aunts or cousins or whoever else it was that spoke, a lot of what they talked about was not Naziah, not how unfair it was to Naziah for Jarvis to do the things that he did to her, then to take her life. Um, it was about them and how they had been affected. You know, me. My life is not the same. I've been under persecution. I've gotten death threats. I this, I that, I this. And it was like nothing about Naziah. One or two sentences, and then it was all me. And I don't know. I'll just leave it at that. His sister's statement stood out to me more than anyone else. And Tawana Butts is Tijuana. If you want to look up her statement, or if you want to wait until I post it in the comments, um, hers was definitely to me the only one that really mattered that day because she was the only one who really tried to hold his feet to the flames of accountability for what he had done. So that is the latest in the Naziah Harris case. I don't know if we'll hear much more new information coming out of this unless it turns out that he did disclose the location of her body. That's about the only thing that I could think of that would come out of this case. There may be some more interviews with uh, other people involved in the case. I believe Tootie Uncensored did an interview with Naziah's father as well. But like I said, go check out Tootie Uncensored. She did in-depth coverage of this case. She's still bringing whatever is new. She brought us the Jarvis Butt self-unaliving, and after that, she did the interview with his sister. So please go check out Tootie Uncensored and her coverage of the Naziah Harris case. All right. I'm hoping I can get this volume to work because I really want you to be able to see these videos for the Letitia Stout. And I'm going to stop calling her by that last name. I'm just going to refer to her as Letitia because one of the things that Al Stout said at the sentencing, he asked the judge for his last name back from Letitia. So I'm not going to refer to her by that last name. I don't remember what her maiden name was, but we all know who Letitia is. Let me try one more time to see if I can get the volume to work on a video because I have 3 videos for Letitia that I really want us to be able to watch. So let's see if I can get that to work. Share entire screen. Now, yo. Okay. Now let's see if we can get volume on this video. Okay, I'm not getting volume on that. So here we go. Letitia Stout. I said I wasn't going to refer to her by that last name anymore. Um, not sure what's going on with this. Choo-choo. All right. So Letitia Stout murdered Gannon Stout. I gotta cheat a little bit here and pull up the details. All right. So this would have been January 27, 2020, when Gannon Stout was reported missing to the El Paso County Sheriff's Office. Her original story was that he left home between 3:15 and 4 to go to a friend's house, but never returned. All right. The initial press release on his disappearance described him as a juvenile runaway. However, 3 days later, the sheriff's office reclassified his case as a missing or endangered person, citing new information and evidence. I'm sure y'all can tell I'm reading here because it's been a while on this case. The search involved thousands of hours of investigation and hundreds of tips from the public. The FBI Child Abduction Rapid Deployment Team, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, and the Colorado Springs Police Department assisted the sheriff's office in the case. Search teams used drones, dogs, horses, helicopters, and divers to comb through various areas of interest. Gannon's biological parents made emotional pleas for his safe return and thanked the community for their help. On March 2nd of 2020, Letitia was arrested in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina on charges of first-degree murder of a child by a person in a position of trust, child abuse resulting in death, tampering with a deceased human body, and tampering with physical evidence. She was extradited to Colorado and held without bond at the El Paso County Jail. All right. Then we know that her story changed 115,000 times as to what happened to Gannon after that. And she came up with all types of ridiculous nonsense. I think she even tried to blame Mexican cartels at one time for his disappearance. Then there was a whole thing about Eduardo and how Eduardo RAP'd her and took Gannon and just all kinds of crazy stuff. Well, now we have a glitch in the case because her conviction has been overturned. Yeah. And the reason that the conviction was overturned is because one of the jurors was the father-in-law to someone who worked in the office of the prosecutor who was prosecuting the case against her. According to law, he should never have been on the jury. The court was aware of his family relationship with someone in the prosecutor's office, asked a few follow-up questions, and decided to let him sit on the jury. The prosecutor did not use any of their preemptive strikes or other strikes to get him off the jury, which, in absence of the judge doing so himself for cause, the prosecutor should have done so. But from what I've been watching and reading, I kind of understand why the prosecutor didn't use a strike, but they really, really should have. Now this family is going to have to go back through this whole trial, evidence, pictures, different lies, heartache, pain, all of this again, unless Letitia takes a plea bargain. And we all know that Letitia is too much of a narcissist to take a plea bargain. Because with the conviction being overturned, you know as well as I do that she's sitting there with the gears turning in her head about how she's about to be free. And making plans for her future. So I don't see her taking any type of a plea bargain. I see this as a situation where it's going to have to go to trial. Now, apparently the prosecutor is appealing the decision to overturn the conviction. Hopefully, they'll win that appeal and we won't have to go through another trial. But more importantly, Gannon's family, his parents, his sister, won't have to go through another trial. And even Harley, because Harley is as much a victim in this as anyone else. So she won't have to go through another trial. I'm sure she's just now coming to terms with everything that is her mother, Letitia, and putting all of that behind her, making a new start in life for herself. I'm pretty sure she doesn't want to be dragged down into the middle of this fiasco again. I really feel for Landon and Al because a new trial would mean putting them through all of that again, having to deal with Letitia, having to see her, having to hear her lies again, having to relive going through the autopsy photos and just the whole 9 yards. And I think that would be so unfair to them for an error that was the court's error that should never have been made. I can't think. I mean, the judge, he was very fair. He was a good judge as far as I'm concerned. He was a good judge when he was sitting on this case. I just can't understand why he didn't, why he let that juror sit on the jury. I don't understand how he could make such a lapse in judgment like that. Because it seemed to me as if he was doing everything he could to make sure that few to no mistakes were made in this case. So I don't know. Well, guys, since the videos wouldn't play, I'm not gonna hold you up. I'm not gonna just stay on here babbling on. I did want to bring that news. I'm gonna try to work out whatever the and resolve whatever the issue was with the videos, so that in the future we'll be able to have a much better live. But I am definitely back. I will be coming to you guys at least 3 nights a week. I can't guarantee which nights it will be as of right now, simply because of scheduling. But I will be with you guys at least 3 nights a week. And we're going to talk about all the things, all the cases, all the missing kids. And that's it for now. Bye. Love you guys.